Welcome back to New Organic Eats. Today we're making my small batch chocolate cake with sourdough discard. Today's my husband's birthday and I have fresh raspberries from our farm box and he loves chocolate and raspberry. So I'm going to make this small batch chocolate cake that has a chocolate ganache frosting and is topped with fresh raspberries. This little adorable cake is just a 1-layer 6-inch cake, so it's perfect for just 2 or 4 people. Let me show you guys how to make it. So for the frosting for this cake, I'm just doing a chocolate ganache frosting. That is just made up of dark chocolate and heavy whipping cream. So it's super simple to make, but we're gonna make this before we make the cake so that I can chill in the fridge while the cake is baking. So if you guys like rich chocolatey frosting that is not super sweet, you're going to love this chocolate ganache frosting. So you wanna make sure you have a heat-proof bowl, and we're adding 226 grams of dark chocolate. And I'm using my mini dark chocolate chips that I use for basically everything because I'm obsessed with these. They're dark chocolate, but they also have no stabilizers, so they're perfect for making ganache or melting chocolate. And then next we're gonna add in 1 cup of heavy whipping cream. Now we're just gonna microwave this doing 30-second intervals, stirring between each one until the chocolate and cream are completely combined. Once the chocolate and cream are completely combined, then we're just gonna pop this bowl in the fridge and let it chill for at least 2 hours, or you can even let it chill overnight if you wanna make the frosting the day before. Now that we have the frosting chilling, it's time to make the cake. So go ahead and preheat the oven to 350 degrees. And now this small batch chocolate cake comes together in just one bowl. All you guys are gonna need is a bowl and a spatula to mix this up. It is so easy. But if you guys wanna do this in a mixer, you can totally do that as well. So first we're adding 113 grams of cane sugar. Next I add 57 grams of organic canola oil. And you guys can use avocado oil or extra virgin olive oil if you're avoiding seed oils, but my husband likes the cakes with canola oil versus I like them with olive oil, so it's his birthday, so we're doing canola oil. Next we have a 1/4 cup of heavy whipping cream. You guys could also use milk for this as well, that's totally fine. Next we have 28 grams of sourdough discard. And if you guys don't have sourdough discard, that's totally okay. You can just use equal parts of water and all-purpose flour, so that would be 14 grams of water and 14 grams of all-purpose flour. I love using sourdough discard because it's gonna give a little bit of extra flavor and tang to this chocolate cake, and it lets me use up what would have been waste. So that's why I'm using it in this cake. And then the last of our wet ingredients is going to be 1 large egg. Then we're just gonna whisk up these wet ingredients together until the egg yolk is broken and everything's combined. Once the wet ingredients are all completely combined, then we're gonna add in the dry ingredients. And I like to swap out my whisk for a spatula at this point because that way all the batter doesn't get caught in between the whisk. So we're adding 95 grams of cake flour. Then we have 32 grams of all-purpose flour. And I'm using a mixture of both cake flour and all-purpose flour. It's just gonna help give this cake a tender crumb, but with a little bit more structure. And then next we have 21 grams of Dutch cocoa powder. And then we have 1/2 teaspoon of baking powder and 1/4 teaspoon of salt. And last, I'm adding in my vanilla, which I'm using ground vanilla bean today, and you guys can use vanilla extract if you want as well, that totally works. But my husband really loves the flavor of vanilla bean, and I love vanilla bean with chocolate, so it's gonna be perfect in this cake. Then we're just gonna mix this up with our spatula until we have a smooth, chocolatey cake batter. Now it's time to transfer the cake batter to our cake pan. And I have a 6-inch cake pan and I'm lining it with parchment paper. I always line my cake pans with parchment paper. I think it's just like an insurance that makes sure your cake is gonna come out perfectly, probably from all my years as a bakery owner, but if you guys don't have parchment paper, make sure that you butter or grease your cake pan very well. Once your cake batter is in your cake pan, then it's time to bake this. We're baking this at 350 degrees for about 25 to 30 minutes. You just wanna make sure your cake is done before it comes out of the oven. You can do that by putting a little toothpick in the center, or you can even just use a butter knife or a chopstick. And the best thing about this small batch chocolate cake is the frosting is already done. So now you can just chill until the cake is done baking, and then it's gonna be time to frost it. Once your cake is cooled, then it's time to grab your frosting from the fridge, and it's gonna be pretty stiff. So if you guys want to whip this up using a hand mixer or a stand mixer for like a whipped chocolate ganache frosting, you can totally do that. Otherwise, you can also just stir it with a spatula until it becomes smooth and creamy. Once your chocolate ganache frosting is either whipped or stirred and it's ready to go, then we're just going to remove this cake. So go ahead and grab a cake plate or a cake stand, whatever you guys want to serve this cake on. Then we're going to take the cake out of the cake pan and then frost it. Once the cake is removed, then it's just time to frost this with the chocolate ganache frosting. And I'm just going to dump everything on top and then just spread it out evenly. This is a super rustic cake. Once you have all the chocolate ganache on top of the cake, then we're just going to spread this out with a spatula. You can use a cake spatula or a regular spatula, either works. So your frosting doesn't have to be perfect, it just needs to go on top of the cake, and it can be super rustic. And now I'm just going to top this cake with some fresh raspberries. You guys could use fresh strawberries, you could use blueberries, blackberries, you guys could even use rainbow sprinkles, caramel sauce, chocolate chips. You can put anything on top of this delicious sourdough chocolate cake. Now this small batch chocolate cake with sourdough discard is ready for our birthday celebration tonight. If you guys enjoyed this video, be sure to drop a like and leave a comment below. And if you want more easy cake recipes just like this, be sure to hit that subscribe button and join me next time in the kitchen.